Hey, this is Tilak. Welcome back to Fast Formula Tutorial. Today we are going to see one more GSP Fast Formula type: salary progression rate calculation. This is a final lesson in GSP. Okay, what it does? This formula helps you to calculate the salary amount for that particular grade or a step. We use the same type of context, so we are not going to get into the detail. If we are looking at that input values, we have the ladder ID, ladder name, grade ID, grade name, step ID, step name, grade step ID. Okay. Sorry, that I think the grade step ID is there twice. And the progression mode. But the progression mode basically says that whether it is in the rate synchronization or that like regular process. There are two processes in GSP. One is basically allow you to move from one step to others or one grade to other grade. The other one is basically there won't be any changes in the step or a rate, step or the grade. But what happened, for some reason, the salary might have got changed or the rate value might have got changed. For example, all of a sudden the government says, whoever people in the grade 1, whichever grade it is, they should have a minimum so much salary. Okay, now that the amount is basically changing. So what happened, these kind of the organization might be making a decision, everybody in this grade should have a minimum so much. So some reason that the amount is changing. This kind of a situation that the rate synchronization they process run. So that picks up the whatever the amount which is the rate which belongs to the grade or the step, then update that salary. That is what the rate synchronization does. So that the mode says that what you are doing it, whether you are synchronizing the rate or you are basically trying to progress the steps or grade. Okay. These steps basically it is not about which the person is in as of now. This is the person is getting evaluated. For example, the person is step 1. So the step 1 never coming into that picture. This is coming the step 2, step 3, step 4, whichever the step or the grade which is getting evaluated. Okay. Now, okay, before we get into what we are going to do that, okay. Now, how the formula going to work here? Now, what happened? There are many ways you can calculate that the rate. Formula is one of the way. In the formula, normally, I can see there are 3 or 4 ways they can do that. So one of the ways basically says that they kind of fix the amount. If you are in a rate 1, you are in the grade 1, the step 1, say the amount is, for example, $100 or say $1,000. Okay. If it's a step 2, like 1,500, that kind of a fixed rate that they can provide through the formula. Or what they can do there is they can pick up the rate which is defined in the rate setup in the GSP setup that every step, every grade or the steps rate. Then you can pick up the rate, then you can do adjustment to that. For example, if you are living in California, or whatever it is given 10% more. Okay. Or if you are in New York, 10%, 15% more. Or you say if you are a smoker or something, you have you deduct 20%. So that is one of the way. You get the rate from the setup, then you kind of do a kind of a manipulation onto that, or add or deduct or do something, then you return the value. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Okay, when you are returning the value, for that what's it called? The period, the type is defined, is annual or monthly. That is what you are returning it. That the setup in the GSP setup, you are telling monthly, you are returning the monthly value. If you are setting annual, you are returning the annual value. That is how it works. Okay. Okay. Now there's one more way you can do that. That is, they call it incremental way of doing it. So basically what you do is you take the salary then you increment the value. Okay. The incremental also can be in a two-way. You can kind of like, for every step, you might be adding some kind of fixed value, or what you can do, you can define an incremental value in the setup, then you can use it. For example, you say step one, $100, step two, 150, step three, like 250, step three, 400. Some kind of a definition you give it. Now, you take the current salary. Assume the person is in the step one, the current salary is 5,000. Then you basically you are picking up the next eligible step. Assume the step two, that is $150. So if it's a 5,000, so it became a $5,150 would be his salary for the grade. That is how you can increment it. In our example, that is what we are going to do. We are going to take the annual salary. We are going to take the annual salary, and we assume the rate is also defined in the annual. Okay, so basically that we are going to pick up that whatever the step we are evaluating it. We are getting that amount. We are adding the amount. We are returning them. Okay, that is what we are going to do in our exam. Now, what we need for that? Definitely, we need a salary. So the assignment salary, we need that. Okay, we also need the rate value for the steps. Okay, that is which is coming here. This is array, and this is all the step ID, which is attached to that, the same, coming from the same routes. So they are this one steps, rate steps names. This is also basically the step name and the grade name, grade step name is coming here. So now what happened? We also get the step ID, step name, which is coming, which is evaluated. So we match the step to this step. Sorry, we match the step to these steps. If it is the same, then we take the value. That is the value of the evaluated grade step ID. Okay, now we have annual salary, then we add this one. Basically, we add this one to this one. That give you a new value for the rate, for the step or a grade. Okay, this is what we are going to do that today. Now let's get into writing our fast formula. Okay, we are getting into that fast formula through the usual route, that is compensation, then the common configuration of fast formula. Okay, this time we are going to use that existing fast formula. Okay, I'll tell you what is that, GSP. Okay, that is basically that if you are looking at the type is salary progression rate calculation. That's a type. Okay, this nothing is there. Basically, this is only that the header is there. So we are going to use that header part. Okay. Now, how do I go for it? Okay, we are going to use that basically that for database items. I just copy and put that. I'll explain to you this then. Edit, correct. I'm going to change the formula. Okay, that basically this is a per grade. Okay, I take this way, that would be easier. Person salary, the person current step name. Okay, these two coming from a step rates and everything, step information for this DBA uses a grade ID as this one. Okay, whatever the grade ID coming in as a what do you call it? Whatever the grade ID is coming in as a context, that is what it is used. If you want to change the context, then you have to use a different. You have to set the grade ID. Okay. Now, okay, that is done. Then we also define all the input values. Okay, we have all the input values. Okay, this is basically, if you are looking at the, this is, it gives that the step name and that value for the step which is defined in that setup, and the step ID. That is what giving it. Okay. Now input, we are taking all the input step ID, read step ID and everything we are having here. Then, okay. The next level, I copy here. That basically we are putting a log to enter into that. L salary is the kind of a variable I'm using it. It's the effective date context. The grade ID, you'll get it, the grade ID and the assignment ID, which we are getting it from the context. Then we print all the three. Then also we print all our input values. Okay, so here we are printing out the effective date. We are printing the assignment ID. We are printing the grade ID. If you want, you can give a little more stars so we know by like now it will be more legible. Okay, then we also printing the grade ID, which is step grade ID, step ID, grade name, step ID, and that step name and the grade step ID. Okay, do we have a grade step ID as an input? Grade ID, step name. Yeah, the grade step ID. That's the intersections ID. That is also there. The current rate. That's one more variable. We have it. Okay. Now I'm going to take the L. I'm going to take this as my the current salary. I'm going to take it. That is nothing but the salary amount name. Okay. Okay, call the salary amount. So I'm also going to print that salary amount. That okay. Current salary. Okay. So that is the current rate. I am putting that into the current salary. Okay. Current rate. That is fine. So okay. Now what would be my L rate value? Okay. I think that is defined as a character, so I'm giving it a 0. Okay. Now since it's a array index, okay, I'm taking the first value. -1 is default. Then while sorry, okay, sorry, just exist yeah index index okay loop. Okay, that is fine. Okay, now what are we going to calculate is return salary. Return, what are we are going to calculate? The return salary will be returned. Okay, so I'm returning that as it is. So I'm also put that into the value. Okay, leaving to here sorry L salary, leaving L salary. Okay, so we got that. Now we are going to get into this loop. Okay, now I can also print what is coming into that this one. Okay, now so I know that the current rate and the current value. Okay, so for the DB, okay, that the value, the related step ID for the value that we call that. Okay. You can also print the step name related to that array. Okay. So I got the current step value, step ID, and the step name. Now, if this step is equivalent of whatever that I'm validating it, if step ID if this step ID is equal to what? The person's evaluating step ID, that is an input value. Okay, then okay, now I'm going to say that I just give a step name. Okay, evaluating step. Okay, call the evaluating step. I also got the L rate value. Okay, L rate value is L rate value is that is the L rate value. Okay, so I can print that too. Okay. Rating step value is L rate value. Okay, now I found that. Now there's no point of me looping around that, so I can exit. Okay, there's no point of for me to go to the next step and doing anything. We are done with that. Okay. Now what we supposed to do here? Here now we have to go index. Okay, this is what we do that. Okay. Now we have to go to the next index. Next of what? L, the index, next of L index, and the default is -1. Even if it is the last one, then you get the -1. The -1 does not exist, so it is going to come out of it. So now I found my current evaluating grade. Okay. Okay. Now what is my salary now? Salary equal to my current rate plus my L rate value. That is my sum. Okay, so that is the current salary. So basically I'm finding that rate, I'm adding to the current salary, which is I'm returning it. Okay, saving it, submitting it, compiling it. 59. What is 59? Okay, that's supposed to be 2 care. Correct. 59 is 2 CHAR. No. Okay. Okay, it is coming as a character. That's a two. So I'm taking it as it is. Then when I'm adding it, I have to convert them into a number. Okay, number. I'll convert them into a number. Okay, so this is right. Okay. This formula is compiled. The formula is already in that my blog. I'll give that link to the like in my description, so you can go and get that formula. Okay, the explanation are also in the blog, but that this video is more than enough for that explanation. Okay, I'm done that. Now I cancel that. I'm going back. I search for that. Okay, now this is combined. GSP value is combined. Now let's see where it is attached. I'm going into the GSP progression ladder. I'm searching the, okay, I'm using this one. Now if you are looking for that, okay, see that. The calculation, the salary calculation method is formula and the GSP value. This is what it is used. Now what is going to happen here is, it goes to here and get this value adding that. Okay, there's a one issue is here. Basically, originally the setup is made for us hourly rate, so that's the reason the value is less. Um, anyway, I'm not going to get into that, like how the setup works, how the calculation works. This is mostly how the formula works. So we are okay. I just use the existing setup for an example. So the rate may not be perfectly right, okay, but the calculation happens. I'll show you how that. Okay, let me run the process. Run create progression steps. I pick up that. This is that when I'm going to do that. Okay. I'm not limiting anything. I know only there are two people are attached to that this one. So I am just putting this one. I'm submitting it. Okay. So I'm going into that child process. That is where that formula is executed. Go here. See the where is that? Okay. Entering into this one, context effective date, assignment ID, grade ID that you want. Okay. Now this is the same grade ID, this is the same ID, so we are not worried about that. So basically the context and the grade ID is same. If the context and grade ID is not same, in case then you have to make sure you are setting the context. Okay. Okay. Now the grade is analyzed one. The step name is step 3. The person probably in a step 2. That's the reason the step 3 is taken. The current salary is 5,000. The rate which is coming in is 20. So step ID rate, step ID loop. Okay. Now which is right? Rate value, step ID loop. So is 24 and the step name basically is 3, evaluating step name 3. So the next one is basically 2475. So leaving that GSP value 5024 is what it is coming out of it. So it is taking that value 3 because person is in the level 2. So the third one is evaluated. So the value is 2475. It is added into the salary. That is how it is coming out of it. By this we are done with the GSP formula. Okay. If you have any question or doubt, anything, you can ask me a question in that comment section. Thank you. I'll see you next time with a different area in compensation. Probably we'll cover CWB. Okay. Thank you. Bye.